Tonight on Reach Out with Ray and Steve, he won the Triple Crown of Pitching, Doc Gooden. Brandon Steiner revolutionized the memorabilia craze in all of sports. Tony Moranti spent 60 years with the Yankees. He was the man that gave all the tours at the old Yankee Stadium and knew the hidden areas where Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig hung out. He's open for many greats, including Tommy James and Bobby Rydell. From the world of music, Vinnie Medugno. And of course, our musical director, Robbie Robinson, on Reach Out with Ray and Steve, Monday at 7 on YouTube and Facebook, and 8:30 on BronxNet. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button.
Hi, this is Ray Negron from Reach Out with Ray and Steve. And this is our special guest, Avani. And Avani is learning about H21 hand sanitizers. This is the sanitizer Gio Urshela and Gleyber Torres sent to Venezuela, Colombia, and a little country called the Bronx. But anyway, let's try this. Okay? Okay, now spray it all over. Smell it?
It smells good.
Wow! That's what I'm talking about. Tell everybody.
It smells good.
H21 hand sanitizer on Reach Out with Ray and Steve, right?
Yes.
Reach out, oh, with Ray and Steve. Reach out, with Ray and Steve. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the car. For the home team, if they're not win, it's a shame. Play ball.
Welcome, everybody. A very pleasant good evening to each one of you, wherever you may be in this whole wide world. And welcome to Reach Out with Ray and Steve. We've got a great show for you tonight. My name is Robbie Robinson, coming to you from Los Angeles, California. And I'm going to open it up here to my two buddies here, Mr. Ray, Mr. Steve, coming to you from the Bronx, New York. Come on in, gentlemen.
Okay, Robbie, thank you so much, Steve.
Hey, buddy.
Welcome back. And we're here. Listen, I'm not going to waste any time. I'm going right to Doc Gooden because he's at a restaurant eating. And whenever you put a steak in front of Doc, you better move fast because he ain't coming at you.
Awesome. You mean deep. Look at him.
Doc, how are you, brother?
How's everything?
Good. How you doing, Dwight?
Great. Yeah, we're just on the appetizers now, so we're good.
So
All good. All good.
if you're at the appetizers, we better move fast.
That's right. So, Dwight, everybody, you doing well these days?
Yeah, everything's great, man. Everything's going well. You know, healthy. Kids are healthy. Everybody's good.
That's all that counts.
Mets are playing well. Yankees are playing well. What more can a guy ask for?
So the pandemic never got you, right, Doc?
No, thank God.
Hallelujah.
I had COVID, like in December. I had no symptoms or anything, but I had to quarantine for a little bit. I've gotten my vaccine shot. I go back for the second shot next Thursday. And so, you know, got to protect myself and my family and my friends and fans.
But Doc, I got to ask you, you are so afraid of getting needles put into you.
Oh, big time.
How'd you handle it?
Big time. Just, you know, I was doing it for my kids. You know, when it comes to your kids, you do things that you normally wouldn't do for yourself. So I had to do it. It wasn't as bad as I thought, though. So, you know, I definitely recommend. I know in our community, African American community, people second guessing. My suggestion, in my opinion, I think guys should get it, get educated on it, and get it. I think it's great, not just for yourself, but for the people around you and your loved ones.
Now, doctor, I mean, listen, I know you as good, if not better than anybody that's alive right now because your parents ain't here, okay? And
Yes, sir.
and I gotta say, you do not understand the magnitude of what you represent to so many kids that want to be major league pitchers. Steve, take it from here as far as what happened yesterday, because I don't want to start crying.
McKenzie, who kind of blanked the Yankees a little bit, but he's a young kid with full of potential. He kind of looks like a young of Doc Gooden when you came up. What's your thoughts about Tristan?
Oh, you're right. And I actually had a conversation with him over text. I look forward to meeting him and also promise him that if he's ever pitching in New York, against the Yankees or in the league against the Mets, I'll definitely come to his game. If not, I'll have to go to Cleveland to watch him. But a young man, I follow him a little bit. I see he's from Brooklyn. He went to school in Florida. Great, like you said, great potential. And same built when I came up. I was like 6'2", maybe like 185, 190. The same built. He has an electric fastball. He had a great parent. His dad's great. Was a friend of mine, and a lot of potential. He's with a good organization. I played in Cleveland for 2 years. Ray was there in 98 and 99. So I'm sure he'll do well, and I look forward to watching his starts as well. Just a lot of potential, and I'm hoping for nothing but the best for this kid.
Doc, I mean, throughout the years, we've seen guys like we saw Nomo wear number 16 because he idolized you, a guy that came from Japan. Listen, you got guys coming from Russia, from Africa, from Mars. I mean, what does it mean when you see these guys from all over the place like that?
Oh, you love it, man. And that's what it's all about. When you first play this game, your goal is to, be healthy, play a long time, and, contribute. And you leave it all on the field. And now when you see young guys coming up and they want to wear 16 because Doc Gooden wears 16, that means a lot. And it's very touching to see that. And we wish those guys number success. And anybody wears 16 and they say they wear it because I wore it, I become an instant fan of those guys right away, and I try to follow their careers.
Doc, how do you feel about the fact that Paul O'Neill, who could be one of the biggest pain in the butts, but yet he emphasizes how important a teammate you were to him at that time? How do you feel about that?
That's great to know because, I remember facing Paul when he was with Cincinnati. He was a young player. I was young coming up. But then we got to be teammates with the Yankees. And I just felt my job, being in New York for 11 years, get guys to understand about playing in New York, understanding the media standpoint, the fan standpoint, and supporting these guys, not just pitchers, but being for the hitters as well. I just felt like I had to take that role because when Mr. Steinbrenner signed me, he said, I'm expecting you to stay out of trouble, pitch well, and help lead these guys. And so that was part of my job. And it just makes you feel good when your teammates speak that way of you once the career is over and you look back at it. Those guys say, hey, he was great. He was a great teammate. Because, as a player, when I started off, as you know, Ray, my career as a Yankee didn't start off too well, but I still was there for my teammates. Bring those guys on, or when they felt they weren't doing good, let them know whatever I can or whatever, knowledge I can give them, just pass it along, not only to pitchers, but to the players as well.
Now, Doc, we're over here talking that Doc Gooden is wonderful, great, incredible, but I got to mention something that really hurts me. And that is our musical director. His name is Robbie Robinson, who is the musical director for Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. You know how much I love Frankie Valli. However, the fact of the matter is you gave up that home run to Robbie Robinson's team, the Dodgers, that day, and I got to hear about that every day. How do you feel about that, Doc?
Oh, man. I was feeling great. You gave me a nice compliment about this kid. He just dropped me.
That's what Ray does. He brings you in and then he throws you out there.
I don't even want the steak now. I don't want this
That is great.
The question, man, when you talk about the game of inches, 1988, Mike Scioscia is not known for hitting home runs.
Right.
Hit a 2-run home run in the ninth inning to tie the game and basically change the series, turn the whole series around. Then you fast forward to 1996, a no-hitter, Paul Sorrento at Yankee Stadium. He's known for a home run hitter. I hang a curveball to him on the tee, he pops it up.
Ah,
The third out. If I can
Oh.
redo those two, I don't know if I would or not because that was special for my dad. But,
right.
Mike
Right.
Tyson, man, he just, to his advantage, he was a veteran catcher. He knew I was a fastball pitcher. He was going to try to get ahead. So I had walked Shelby. He cheated me. He got the pitch that he could drive and hit the home run.
Unbelievable.
Now, our viewers are checking out the picture when you pitched the no-hitter at Yankee Stadium. Yesterday, Ross Baumgarten pitched a 7-inning no-hitter. Madison Baumgarten. What's your thoughts about that? Is that a no-hitter in the books or not?
Yeah, you're right. I say it's a big thing. Everybody's talking about today. My thing, I don't like all the rule changes they have, like the 7-inning double hitters. I know we did that in the minor leagues. I like to go back to 9 innings with that double hitter. You have to. And unfortunately, Major League Baseball changed that rule to 7 innings. So in my book, my explanation is a no-hitter.
Yeah,
He pitched a no-hitter, complete game,
right.
even though it's 7 innings, but that's all they had, 7
Yeah.
innings. So it should be credited as a no-hitter,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Mhm.
I
Well,
hear
that's classy of you, Doc, and everybody that knows Dwight Gooden knows how classy you are, and you know what, for you to take time, I know you're with the family and friends over there. For you to take time, we appreciate it, Doctor.
Yes. Oh, my pleasure. Always good talking with you guys, man.
Thank you,
Yeah.
bro.
Dr. K,
Good job that you
the
guys
Bat
are
Boy, the Bat Boy staff misses you.
All I know is that our board is lit up with the fans, Doc. Our
There we
board
go.
is literally lit up. So thank you, brother. Take care of yourself.
Enjoy your dinner.
Oh, my pleasure. All right. Love you guys.
God
Thank
bless.
you,
God
brother.
bless.
All right.
So, Robbie, Dwight Gooden. What a way to start.
Wow. We could have used him in LA, but you know what? That 1988 that he's talking about, Socia hit that home run against the Mets. And that year, the Mets owned the Dodgers. I think they beat them 10 out of 11 games or something like that. But then the Dodgers won it when it needed to.
But listen, Robbie, get Brandon Steiner on. I'm sorry, Steve, I mess everything up for you, but get Brandon on. Brandon, where are you?
All right. How you guys doing?
Hey, Brandon. How you doing, sir?
A,
Steiner Sports.
a true legend, the man that revolutionized the whole memorabilia thing. I mean, this is the Babe Ruth of memorabilia. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
thank you.
So,
All right.
I mean,
Hey,
how
by
do
the
you
way,
feel?
Dwight Gooden is on my new platform. I love that he was on before me, and it's perfect. But if you go to Athlete Direct, you'll find the Dwight Gooden Micro website where you'll find not only all his collectibles, but some really cool stuff. And I just launched that last week.
Oh,
What
congratulations.
did Doc Gooden mean to you in your business when you was first starting out? I mean, he was such a superstar then.
Well, he was a good friend, and he was one of the first guys that friended me and was always good to me when I first got started. And he'd always cooperate, do whatever I needed. And I always been very loyal to him. It's a small world, and I would travel, and I was obviously doing a lot of Met stuff. A lot of people know me for the Yankees, and they know me for Steiner. But, I'm with Club Exchange and Athlete Direct now, new companies. Dwight's the first person to call me. How can I help? What can I do? And you'll see on the platform on Athlete Direct, we have like 40 or 50 athletes already on there. You could buy stuff directly from the athletes. And Dwight did his own thing with all these things. He was signing a lot of unusual new stuff that you'll see. But Dwight was a guy that, what people have to understand is when Dwight pitched, the whole city stopped.
Mm.
It wasn't
True.
like, oh, it's a big game tonight. No. Everybody stopped and scampered to a TV to watch him pitch. It's really hard to even compare anybody to that period of time. It was that mesmerizing. No matter what the Mets were doing, when he pitched, the place was packed. And you got to a TV, you want to see, because he was just in complete control. It's Pedro Martinez combined with like Nolan Ryan, like that accuracy, the drop dead curveball, then the high heat. I mean, he was just all kinds of stuff. It was nasty. And it was just poetry in motion. It was just, you were just watching greatness, man. I don't know if you're going to see a pitcher play 2 seasons like that. His first 2 or 3 seasons were just incredible.
Right.
So it was really cool to be able to work with him even back then. I'm old. So I got to work back in the early days, in the mid 80s, and do stuff with him. And, I had the pleasure of working with the Mickey Mantles and Joe DiMaggio's, represented Yogi and Phil, Rizzuto, and it's just been a great run. And now, like, probably working with more athletes now than I ever have because I'm now partnered with them now. So I'm helping them execute the ability to get fans closer to the game. That's my goal. Is like now fans can go on the site and they can literally just go and you'll be surprised they'll get videos thanking them for buying something from the athlete. We may even have an athlete deliver the product to your house.
Nice.
It's just a lot of fun we're having. And then Collectible Exchange, if you have anything you want, it's over 100,000 items on the site now, Ray. It's crazy.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
Now, Brandon, I got to mention this to you that you probably don't even know. Now, I would be in the clubhouse. Robbie, I would be in the Yankee clubhouse, right? And then I would go to this one guy because the kids in the hospitals always wanted stuff from this guy. So every time I went to this guy and said, hey, listen, could you sign this for these kids? And he would say to me right away, okay, Steiner, you know what I'm saying? and that was Derek Jeter. I mean, you had Jeter for a long time, didn't you?
20 years, yeah. Derek always used me as it's kind of like what I do now when when I got to get off the phone or I got to do something, I just blame my wife. He blamed me for everything, Derek. But we had a great run, signed a lot of autographs, created a lot of projects. We did a lot of cool stuff together. He was great to work with. He's a great partner. And listen, he was always very giving. As big a time as he got, and that's what I love about Dwight. By the way, like no matter how big time he got, he never big time people.
Wow.
And really, Straw was like that too. By the way, like they never got, they always had a lot of empathy. They always respected the fans and always gave back a lot. Dwight gave back a lot. Always showed, Derek with his foundation. So it was great to work with them. We were making a lot of money. But we were making a lot of friends and we're doing a lot of good as well. And I'm very grateful, to work with talent like that. For me, when I look at my career and what continues now, sometimes it just boggles me, to have worked with so many great athletes and taken a little part of their off the field careers and done pretty well. The Yankee partnership was crazy, and we're just forming some new partnerships, which we'll be announcing. You're going to have to bring me back on the air, guys, in about 2 or 3 weeks to announce some really outrageous stuff that I'm doing.
Well, we
I have a
are
question.
Robbie, I got to ask you something, Robbie.
Yeah.
Now, Brandon, this is Robbie Robinson, the
Hi,
magical musical director for Reach Out with Ray and Steve, but he also happens to be the musical director for Mr. Frankie Valli.
Wow.
Today's Sinatra. Now, with the Four Seasons, with Robbie Robinson, with the great Frankie Valli, how does that memorabilia stuff work?
I would love to. The goal would be imagine if we were able to go reprint some albums. Like we're starting to do music on Athlete Direct, and there'll be another site which will be for music and entertainers.
Oh,
and we're reprinting albums and we're reprinting some of the lyrics to the songs, and we're doing some really fun stuff with some former bands. To me, like Frankie Valli and of course that's just insane that how popular and how big a deal they are, especially to my age. And right now we're reprinting a lot of albums for some other bands. That would be great, right, to go take their greatest hits and then have them sign it and then frame that stuff up with some photos back in the day with some lyrics. Let's go. Love it.
We should talk, you and I, Mr. Steiner.
It would be an honor. Honestly,
5%.
working with these bands, it's amazing.
5%.
That's all you want, Ray?
That's enough. Frankie Valli, man.
It would be amazing. I mean, really, you got to see some of the stuff we're doing. I feel like I'm a little kid out of a candy store, and I'm in a complete entrepreneurial state. And every day, new stuff's coming up, and I'm really trying to do some non-traditional collectibles so fans can get a breath of fresh air and some real fun stuff.
Yeah,
I have a question for you, though.
Yeah,
Who
Robbie.
could have envisioned, Mr. one and I think you're one of the pioneers at this, that there was such a market for sports memorabilia? I mean, back in the day, I remember being a kid, we put our baseball cards in the spokes of our bicycles. Who could have thought?
Yeah.
How did you see this coming?
I really, it's crazy. It's a great question, but I really didn't see it as the way what happened. I thought it was more of a B2B play. When I started the collectible and really started the brand, it was really to advance and enhance marketing stuff. So I bring a player, do an appearance, sign 50 balls. That client would be able to give it out to their customers, clients, friends, and family. And that's what I was doing the first couple of years, using the collectibles as a loyalty gift, as a door opener, as a reward program type of item. I was the first to do that with American Express. So that's really how I saw it. I didn't realize it was going to end up being a big brand. And, I feel like Collectible Exchange will be a knockoff of eBay, but done the right way. Like, you can't really go to eBay and get great collectibles. And my site will have worldwide collectibles one day from all sports, all leagues, everything you could imagine, but done in a really classic way so that everything is protected, authenticated. And same thing with Athlete Direct. I don't want to just get professional athletes, although I'm grateful to have Mark Messier or Dwight Gooden, but I'm going to have soccer players, Japanese, Russian hockey players, rugby. It's going to be amazing. Bands, theatrical. I just got The Sopranos. They're opening up a site on my site. So it's going to be big. And
Brandon, we can do a show just on you. You know what I'm saying?
I'll come back. No
we got to do that. But
Monday
listen,
nights are an easy night for me, man.
Good.
With you guys.
But I want to introduce you to a true Yankee legend. And again, I'm off script here, but I got to do this because of the whole intertwined thing here. Tony Morante. Do you know the name?
Legend.
Yeah, there we go.
Tony's a legend, man. I mean, come on.
Tony.
It's nice to see you, Tony.
Hey,
Hi, Brandon. How you doing?
Brandon, introduce Tony for us.
Well, I mean, you're talking about a guy who really has the history of baseball, Yankee Stadium. I mean, he knows more of what's going on in the Bronx. I mean, he's a part of the fabric there. And anybody who knows, who's done, tours at the stadium and everything else knows Tony. And, he's always involved. And believe it, a lot of people have gone through Yankee Stadium, and the one person they do meet is Tony. So I can't wait to get a copy of the book. And I certainly will promote it to my base because it's going to be real. It's going to be authentic. And Tony, you put a lot of hours into showing people what the real Yankee Stadium is about and the history of it. And I'm very grateful to you. I sent a lot of customers your way.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Brandon. And I will get a book out to you. But I had a question for you. Now, you've been in the business for quite a while with your family and everything, and you forged a real great contract with the Yankees back. I think it was 2005, something like that.
2004, yeah.
2004. Where did you start with collectibles? What was the aha moment that you said collectibles are the thing? I got my opinion on that.
Well, realistically, I started Steiner in 80 and really started the collectible thing in 94. And I was really against it because I was a marketer of players, and I still do. I market players all over the place for all kinds of stuff. But the collectible thing started in 94 with Messier and Phil Rizzuto. And I really ran it to Phil. I bounced a check. It was such a debacle. And I told him that I would, he's like, Steiner, you're no good. I said, I'm going to make this up to you. So I would book Phil for everything. And then when he got in the Hall of Fame, I was competing against a lot of other people, and I signed him up. And that's when I saw the whole collectible thing was a big opportunity. And that's kind of what got me going. It was really Phil and Mark from the Rangers in 94. And then, it kind of led up. Messier got traded, and I was like having a nervous breakdown because he was a big, big, important player to me. And all of a sudden, a guy named Derek Jeter came around, and Joe Torre. I ended up signing them up. And that's when things started really popping between Messier, Rizzuto, Jeter, Rivera, Torre. The 98 Yankee team was really my coming out party because I had like 14 out of the 25 guys signed exclusively. And I put everything I had, including my house, really developing the collectible company, knowing that the team was going to do well and being able to maintain and fulfill those relationships. And that's when things started popping for me.
When I saw it happen in Brandon, it was about 1973. In 73, Gabe Paul wanted to acknowledge the season ticket holders by giving them an actual chair. So if you had 4 seats on a full season, I had the manifest. I checked off 4. You got 4 chairs. So we only had about 6,000 season ticket holders at that time, and only 4,000 showed up. Now, this is the whole thing about collectibles, which Barry Halper, you remember Barry?
Legendary, one of the limited partners of the Yankees, Halper Paper, good friend of mine.
good man, real warm-hearted man. I really loved him and everything. Got a
Same.
little jammed up, but I saw that these people were coming out, and I remember a guy by the name of Bert Sugar who went to Gabe Paul. He signed a check, and he said, "Here, Gabe, this is for you. You put in the amount. Just let me go downstairs into the basement." And he took 2 U-Haul trailers. He wound up putting his kids through college. But there was so much stuff in there that all of a sudden, collectibles, wow. So we had about 2,000
George-
shares left over.
George was very tight about letting anything out of the building. He was extremely hyper-focused about any collectibles leaving. So when I took over Yankee Steiner in 2003, 2004, really, there were, every warehouse was packed with stuff, trunkloads of stuff. That's how we kicked off the Yankee relationship. But what's funny is in '94, after the strike year, and I was representing Rizzuto, I got a call from John Fugazi. And I forget who it was not John Fugazi, but there was like the guy that was really Steinbrenner's right-hand guy. And he wanted Phil to sign 2,000. Phil's like, "I'm not signing these balls. No way. There's no way I'm doing that." I'm like, "Phil, it's George Steinbrenner. You got to sign the balls." He says, I don't want to do it. I want to sign the balls. I say, "Listen, Phil, I need Yankee seats. I want to get season tickets. If you sign the balls, they're going to pay you some money, and then I'm going to get these seats." So I remember calling up the season ticket office, I forget his name. He was there forever. Great guy.
Mike
Frank
Rendine.
Swain.
Frank Swain. Love
No.
Frank. The best. Frank called me, he goes, "I don't know what you did up there in those executive offices, but they told me I better give you like 4 great seats." Now you think about that. In '94, he gives me 4 seats in the 4th or 5th row behind home plate.
Oh my God.
Rizzuto signs the balls. Now I get introduced to the Yankee brass, who's now that guy. And meanwhile, those seats were very, very handy for the run. To have those seats right behind home plate for that 95 to whatever run, that was gold.
Yeah. You still there?
No, I mean I sit all over the stadium at this point. I mean I'm at so many games. I mean I really do like to sit around all over. The new stadium is amazing, and I really like to sit in all different places with all different fans. I feel like every time I go to a game, whenever I pay for the seats, I get it back by sitting next to a couple of fans and selling them something.
Wow.
Now, I gotta ask Tony. I gotta ask Tony Morante. Tony, you have given tours to some little people like myself, but I gotta say this. I would have to say that the biggest that you ever had was the gentleman from Africa. What's his name, Steven?
Nelson Mandela.
Nelson Mandela.
Gosh. Oh,
Okay.
man.
Please tell us about your tour with Mr. Mandela. There he is there. Look at this.
Well, I got a call from the media department. I think it was Rick Cerrone who was the director at the time, and he asked me to do a private tour out in Monument Park. So I just went out there. I didn't know who it was, and they introduced me to Nelson Mandela.
Oh, man.
And oh my God, it was such a feeling because I knew this guy was in the star for 27 years. And here he is with this big smile, and I'm walking him around Monument Park. Oh, what a thrill it was for me. I'll never forget it. It was one of those lasting moments that it firmly imprinted in my head. There were a lot of other people, even the little guys, the small kids that come there, and they come there with their dads, and the dads relate how they came through the stadium and their kids are going in that same direction. It's a wonderful thing. Here's a case in point. This is Randy Maris. This is Roger Maris's son and his grandson. And I had the pleasure of taking him out. Now, if you remember, Brandon, that in the old stadium, the locker all the way down at the end, just after Derek's locker, was an empty locker which belonged to Thurm. But before Thurm had it, Roger Maris had it.
Wow.
So when I took Randy and Andy, his son, and I saw Randy choking up seeing his dad's locker because that was really something very special. There was nothing in there; it was just a locker, but it was very impressive to the little guys, and that's what the game is all about. It's how we get to the little people and they grow into the Yankee pinstripes. And
that's the kind of effect the Yankees have on you. It's just such it's a brand that's second to none.
Yeah.
Now,
what it brings and the people that come through. I mean, Ray, you know this too. Like, there's just nothing like Yankee Stadium and the amount of various people that it brings through. Like my customer base, Billy Crystal calling or Susan Sarandon calling, or it's just crazy. You know, the amount of people that would call me for gifts and for products, and still to this day, you know, it was just amazing.
Well, both of you gentlemen leave lasting impressions on so many people.
Yes.
Mr. Steiner, I mean, your memorabilia is so many fundraisers. I'm a psychologist, so that memorabilia really sets the tone for donations for a lot of nonprofits. And Tony, you've given tours for so many people for so many years. You've been part of the Yankees since 1958. So you guys are legends in giving back to the community in a big way.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that, and so many people don't, you know, bid on getting a tour in Yankee Stadium. And believe it or not, when I first started Steiner back in the day, a big part of what we did is we supported charity auctions. And now that's become the art. But I was like the first company to do it, you know, back in the early 90s. Before I really started a collectible division, it was just Steiner Marketing. It was really about supporting charities and doing stuff like that. It's funny you remember. It's funny, Tony, you remember about those seats. I hear those stories about people getting those seats, and I was a big fan of Bert Sugar, and he definitely took all kinds. Bert was a huge collector, way ahead of his time, kind of the way Barry Halper was. Like, people don't realize it. They say, you know, Brandon, you're this, you're that, but Barry Halper was way ahead of anything I was ever thinking about. I mean, he was collecting back in the 50s, 60s. I mean, I don't know if he knew exactly what he was doing from a military standpoint, but he was a crazy collector. I mean, off the charts. And Bert Sugar, too, by the way, is a crazy collector.
I got to ask Tony.
Great guy.
Tony, how did it feel when they tore down the stadium, the real stadium? How did it feel?
It hurt. You know, I had been going out since 49. My dad was an usher. And after about 10 years of him taking me out there, in 58, he said, "Hey, pal, you're coming up on the arm long enough. You're going to have to start earning it." And they flipped me an usher's mitt. And I said, "I got to work." Yeah, so I started ushering at that time. And so there was a bonding. Now, my mom and dad had been divorced and everything. So the only chance I had to see my dad was when I was at the stadium. Other than going over his house and like that, but to see the stadium go down and the memories that I had when my dad was taking me out there from 49 out through 73, that was something priceless. And then I came into the organization full time in 73. But the people asked me the difference, and it's just it was the ghosts of the past, and my dad's ghost was still with me when we moved across the street. No, when we renovated, excuse me. And it was just a thing that I felt very lost. There was some loss in me when we had to abandon the original ballpark. Well, not the original.
Tony, you do agree. I mean, like me. But I've been known to be a little bit crazy, as Robbie Robinson will tell you.
Amen.
You do agree that the spirits are still across the street, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. That's
absolutely.
All. Hey, so that we don't get into trouble with anybody, we won't say anything else. They say they crossed the street. I didn't see. I see spirits. I'm a Puerto Rican. I see spirits. I haven't seen none of them cross the street.
There's only one other stadium that had that kind of spiritual connection that I strongly felt. And there's no question, I agree with you guys about Yankee Stadium and the spiritual connection. And that's Notre Dame. Crazy, weird.
I hear you.
That has a whole thing too. Like those two arenas are insane. You know, it's funny, when we took down the old stadium, it was very emotional.
Right.
And I was scared to death because, I felt this responsibility. It was a huge amount of money. It was a huge amount of pride. I wanted to get every Yankee fan something. And it was going to be a very long, tedious process. The reason I bring it up is because I'm very grateful to the Yankees. No other team would have taken the time and had the patience to break the stadium down the way I wanted to. Every other team would have just taken the biggest assets, sold them, and called it a day. When I went to Racine and I went to Montrose, those guys, I said, look, the stadium needs to be taken down with dignity, with respect. And we got to make sure as many fans can get a little piece of it. So we show that stadium the respect. It'll also be a big boost to people enabling to open their hearts up to the new stadium. And these guys, I told them it's going to take us 3 years. 3 years. I'm like, 3 years. I'm cutting up the foul poles. I'm cutting up the dugout. I mean, dirt, grass, Reggie Jackson with the black. I'm cutting up everything. And they let me do it. And
Wow.
I'm very grateful, you know.
You did a beautiful job. Listen,
Yep.
we have to do this again. We have to get into the
anytime,
music
man.
segment
Tony,
of
great
our
to see you,
show.
man.
But thank you
gentlemen.
both. Tony, Brandon, you guys are both legends, man.
Yes,
thank you for your
thank you so
contributions.
much.
Thank you for your contributions.
Get his book.
Thank you,
And great
Brandon.
books. You both have wonderful books. Look up Steiner's books.
That's right.
Look up Tony Morante's book. Get them.
I'll get one out to you, Brandon.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
Peace.
Thank you. So Robbie, before our musical guest, I noticed that the Dodgers lost last night, and you're not wearing a Dodger shirt or any memorabilia. What's going on there?
Well, actually, it's not because, the reason is because the show right after this, as you guys know, I do a couple hours after this, I do my Jam and Java show, and tonight I am paying tribute to. We lost a legend last Wednesday morning, and that is the great Joe Long, who was one of the members of the Four Seasons through the biggest years. And you guys know Joe Long, and our fans know Joe Long because Joe Long was a guest on our show back a few months ago. As a matter of fact, we even have a clip. And so that's why I didn't wear my Dodger gear today. Not because the Dodgers lost. The Dodgers still have the best record in baseball. But maybe now's a good time to show that clip. What do you think, guys?
Hey, but you know what, Robbie? Before we show the clip, let's bring in another guy who's a historian, and he's great, Vinny Medugno. Vinny.
Hey, good evening. Thanks for having me back, guys.
Hey, Vinny, Mr. Staten Island.
I had so
Looking
much
good
fun the
tonight.
last time. I wanted to come back tonight.
There we go.
Vinny, when you hear that a legendary guy like Joe Long from a group that's as gigantic as the Four Seasons leaves us, you're still a kid. How do you feel about that?
So I'm glad you gave me the opportunity to speak to that, because all week I had seen the magnitude of the man that he was all over my social media, which means my contemporaries and people that I follow and people that I've worked with, performed with, the promoters that have booked me. Everybody had such great things to say about him. I mean, think about the legacy, right? Kids my age that only know the music of Frankie Valli from a motion picture and a Broadway play called Jersey Boys. But a guy like me who was raised on it, as well as other young entertainers, that's a guy that passed the torch for us to be able to do what we do. And a guy like Robbie talking to us, even giving us the time of day, is something so out of this universe for us to even be put on that level today, to be able to tribute and to honor those guys. So I say thank you to Joe. Thank you for his contributions. Thank you for the gift that he brought to this world. And because of the legendary and timeless songs that he sang, people like me will keep his name and his legacy alive for years to come for so many music fans, past, present, and future.
Well said. Vinny.
How do you
Well
feel
said.
about that, Robbie?
Vinny, that was so well articulated. You are a bright young man and a super talented guys. By the way, gentlemen, why don't we let the audience have this little introduction? We have an introduction clip for Vinny. Why don't we play that introduction clip for Vinny before we get into anything else, so people can really hear and see what Vinny's all about?
Hi, everybody. There's your cousin Brucey. Your cousin Brucey's with you. Right now, I'd like to welcome a tremendous new talent that I've been very fortunate to help discover and share with so many of you, my people, at events and on the air. He's done numerous appearances across the tri-state area, and cousins, being very successful. Yep, he has the heart, he has the soul, he has the energy. So cousins, please welcome at this time my good friend and yours, Vinny Medugno, my cousin Vinny.
It's been too long since we took the time. No one's to blame. I know time flies so quickly. But when I see you, darling, it's like we both are falling in love again. It'll be just like starting over. Starting over. This heart, I will sing to you.
long after stars have lost their glow. And with these hands, I'll provide for you. Should there be a stormy sea, I'll turn the tide for you. Oh, and I'll never, oh no, I'll never let you go. I love you even more than I did before, but darling, what can I do? And now you don't love me, and I'll always be over you, over you. Yes, now you're gone. You take me a little louder. Hey, darling, hear my prayer. God of the other, I'll be your love till the end.
Very good.
Thank you.
Vinny.
Wow.
All I know, Robbie, they're throwing panties all on the sign things over there. Unbelievable.
I have to shout out Nancy. She says I love him. So thank you, Nancy.
Yeah.
Hey, that's my sister.
And it's
What's
a bunch
wrong
of-
with
It's
you?
a bunch of guys in the studio. What are you talking about?
Unbelievable. Nancy, you better not throw your panties at him.
Vinny,
Hey,
that's
hey,
amazing.
yeah.
That is so amazing. Cousin Brucey too?
That's
Crazy.
my guy. He's the best. You know, he's given me such a platform so many times to do such great shows and great venues with him, and to be on the air with him from Sirius right now through WABC Radio, and so many great showcases and whatnot. I'm very humbled. I'm very blessed, and I'm very thankful.
Okay, I'm gonna put Robbie Robinson on a spot right here.
Oh boy.
And uh-oh.
Get ready, Robbie.
Okay, Robbie. I mean, listen, I've been following Frankie, for almost 40 years, I would have to say.
Yeah.
Okay, I first went to the Garden in 77 when Frankie Valli in the Four Seasons filled up the joint.
Wow.
And I want to say this. Couldn't Vinny be one of the Four Seasons?
Yes, he could, but anytime, but we have four guys right now. So,
And let me
by the
tell you,
way-
they do such a phenomenal job. I was privy to see him quite a few times, and he's a great man. I got to also host a special 4th of July weekend of music on WABC last summer, and I got to do an interview with Frankie, and he was such a genuine guy. So he's just an icon, and those Four Seasons are great. I would never want to even step in unless I knew exactly what I was going to do.
Well, here's the thing about Vinny. Vinny is too good to be in the background. He needs to be in the front of the stage, and there's only one guy in the front of the stage for us. So that
Very nice
Thank you,
comeback, Robbie. But yeah, the Dodger way.
Yeah,
Very good, Robbie.
You gave him 2 minutes. You gave him 2 minutes to think about
Yeah,
it. So
nice.
there we go.
Oh boy.
And here's the thing about Vinny. So if I may get back to, I have a poster of my show that I do at 7:00 California time. Can we put that up, Peter? The blue poster. And it's going to be my tribute. It's going to be a tribute to Joe Long, Joe Labracio, Joe Long, who was the Four Seasons, and you were so respectful and so articulate in how you talked about him. And I have been talking to him this past week a number of times, and we thought he was going to get out of the wood, but this stinking COVID got the best of him. And I'm so upset. But we were blessed to have the great Joe Long be a guest on Reach Out with Ray and Steve a few months ago. And I have a little clip from that show, and I think it would be great if we could run that now.
We got that,
Thank
Peter?
you, sir.
Hold on 1 second. Here we go.
Let's hang on to what we got. Don't let go till we got.
I see the left-handed bass player that was in that clip.
Bobby.
His name is Mr. Joe Long. He was the bass player for the Four Seasons for about 10 years. So welcome everybody to Mr. Joe Long.
Thank you, Robbie. Hi, Ray. Hi, Steve.
How you doing, Joe? Thank you for joining us. I know that clip.
Let me just say, I just want to say, number one, thank you, Joe. I appreciate your talent, and Robbie knows what the Four Seasons mean to me.
I've learned what they mean to you by Robbie. Yeah.
You know, and I thank you very much for what you gave us. You know, a part of that. Yeah, hey, it's not just Frankie Valli, it's the whole Four Seasons family, and I really am grateful because you made me understand the concept and the beauty and the magnitude of what music really is. And for that, I hold Robbie Robinson. I won't let him go. And I love the aspect of everything you did for the Four Seasons, Joe Long.
Thank you, my friend. Those are really nice words, and I'm humbled. Thank you.
Let's put this in a little context, if I might. Now, Joe has been my friend for many decades. The original bass player for the Four Seasons was Nick Massey.
Right.
And in 1965, I think that was the year, Nick left the band on his own accord for whatever reason. The Four Seasons were on top of the world, and he decided to leave. Well, Joe Long came in and became the bass player for the Four Seasons.
And you certainly had a long musical career. But you had an injury, though, at the very beginning of your career. I think it was in high school that you kind of had to switch gears musically. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, it was actually the year after high school. I was a keyboard player. And Robbie, listen, if I hadn't had this accident, you know, you might not be where you are today. But when I was 18 years old and getting ready to transition from high school to college, my dad got sick. And in fact, it was the beginning of a long illness, which eventually killed him. So I was the oldest of two sons. I had to go to work to support the family. And I was working in a factory doing time study work. And I had a tussle with a milling machine, and it won. It damn near took my left hand off. Well, that ended the keyboard career. You need all 10 fingers. But while convalescing, I wanted to stay in music, but I knew not as a keyboard player. So I picked up an upright bass and I began playing along with the radio, you know, just feeling my way around. And I had a lot of training as a youngster, so I knew how to read, and I could acclimate myself to the fingerboard on the bass. And then when I was, you know, ready physically to get back in business, then I just continued where I left off, but this time as a bass player, and that was it. You know.
Wow.
So one thing about my buddy Joe here is that he was a left-handed bass player, which is not that
like McCartney.
And when he met Sir Paul had some words for him. Would you mind sharing those words in your own humble way?
You can't be humble when McCartney mentions your name. Yeah. But Sir Paul said that I was the second best left-handed bass player in rock and roll. Now, that's kind of nice in and of itself. But I took umbrage. What do you mean the second best? Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
What's with the second best?
I don't know. Well, you know, Paul McCartney, all three of you guys met Paul McCartney at one stage of your life. That's a blessing right there. Robbie, your friendship with Joe over the years, what does that mean to you?
Oh, it means so much. First of all, Joe is a great musician, and Joe is, and I'm not just saying this because we're on the show together, but he is truly a gentleman, a class act. Anybody that knows Joe Long know that he's got a heart as big as the world. And so it's an honor, it's a blessing. And then beyond that, it helps to connect me with the history of the Four Seasons because, I mean, we're talking 1965. So Joe was there until the mid-70s, and he goes back to those early days with Frankie and Bob and Tommy. I mean, it's just amazing to think of what he lived. There were 4 guys, and he was one of the 4, you know, so it means a whole lot to be able to call Joe Long my friend.
Nice.
Well, the first concert that I ever saw in my life was the Four Seasons at Madison Square Garden, okay? And Joe Long was there, and Joe Long was cool, and I dug it, and I fell in love with the Four Seasons that night, and to me, they surpassed the Beatles. That's how, you know, as far as I was concerned.
Well,
there we go.
I'm never going to be able to live all this nice talk down. I want to come back down to earth. But I guess the thing that will stay with me for the rest of my life was in '69, we had the honor to tour with Frank Sinatra. That was the highlight of our lives, you know, touring with the man.
Joe, thank you so very much. God bless you, sir, for all the music you've given us over the years and your kind-heartedness and your wonderful personality and your blessing to so many people.
Yes.
It's been an honor being on. Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you so much. God bless. Thank you.
Wow, I want to say thank you guys for allowing me to see that and to experience that.
It's you can feel his class through the screen, can't you?
No, yeah, Robbie, I feel his class through you.
Right.
Okay, because I know Robbie Robinson. And when you, in essence, give of your soul to a man like that, it's because they're really special. And I thank you for letting me acknowledge that in him.
And Robbie, I must say, our conversations for every show, before each show, I learn a lot from you, and it's a blessing to get to know you. But you introduced me to so many legends, Christians, people that are giving back, and Joe Long was one of those guys. And I can't thank you enough for letting me in your world. And here's your promo for your show tonight, Robbie.
So, so tonight we're going to remember Joe. But since we're running out of time, let's talk about Vinny's new song. He has a new song that blew me away.
Yeah, Vinny, what's that all about?
So I basically, you know, I've been singing a lot in Italian lately, doing that on like the mainstream circuit.
By the way, not to interrupt, but how come all the singers are Italian? What's up with that? You know, is everybody Italian that sings or what?
I'll tell Jose Feliciano that.
Sing.
I'll let
you know,
Jose Feliciano know that.
The Italians and the Hispanics are the ones that got the groove, Robbie. It's just, it is what it is.
All right. Thank you, Vinny.
You know?
Thank you, Vinny.
Don't worry, Negron. I got your back, brother.
There you go. There you go. Vinny,
But all kidding,
new song.
Yeah, but all kidding aside, the you know, the premise of it was that I love Engelbert Humperdinck. You know, he's another legend that I've been very fortunate to have met a couple times, and he did a song called Il Mundo, which I loved, and I wanted to cross over my Italian audience and my English audience that love what I do in the oldies circuit, and make the two kind of dance together. And there was an Italian version of the song Il Mundo that Engelbert translated to English. So I took Engelbert's verse in English and I took the original Italian verse and I melded the two together. And that's what came out with what you see. And it's been so widely received.
Well, Vinny, we're going to end the show with your song, but how can people get a hold of you and your music?
No, but wait. But Vinny, that's sort of like what Bobby Rydell did with Volare, right?
Well, speaking of Bobby Rydell, today's his 79th birthday, so happy birthday to my buddy Bobby. And yes, that's exactly what he did with Volare. And there's just one other thing I wanted to say that you guys said earlier with Mr. Steiner and Tony, and it was that there was a certain feeling of the spirituality when you went to the stadium. And I have to agree, because I've been there quite a few times, even for a papal mass at the new stadium. But when we looked over, you do feel the essence and the aura and the presence of greatness that you know, my dad grew up in Boston. I've seen Fenway. I've seen all these places, but there's a certain feeling that comes over you when you go to the Bronx. And Robbie, it's a similar feeling. It's funny you say this. When I was backstage with some of these legends and even getting to sit in the audience at Frankie's concert and to be in the presence of some of these people and to work with them, it's the same kind of a feeling that you know you're in the presence of something special, something remarkable, and something great.
Well said. We got to get to your song, buddy. Thank you so much, Vinny. God bless you.
Vinny,
Thanks
you're
for
the
having
man.
me. Follow me on social media.
Hey, Murray Bauer. I mean, thank you, Murray, for introducing us to Vinny, because you are magnificent, man.
Yeah.
Now, listen, I see, too, that you're a fan of Jackie Wilson, Ray, so we're going to have some friends get you in touch with his son, Bobby.
Whoa, beautiful. Beautiful.
Okay.
I knew that because of Elvis. And you have a little Elvis twang in you, brother.
A lot of twang. He's my guy.
All right. Frankie Valli. Frankie may be watching. I got to watch myself.
Yeah, watch out.
Thanks for having me, guys.
God bless.
Right.
Robbie, we love you.
Love you guys. Bye.
Stay beside me, say you'll never leave me. How I love you, how I love you, how I need you, please believe me. In your arms I found my heaven, and your lips have done their part. Il mondo, your love is all I need in my world. Let tender kisses plead in my world. How could I ever live without you? Il mondo, my heart belongs to you, so take it and promise me you'll never break it. Say you'll stay here in my arms. Gira il mondo, gira nello spazio senza fine, con gli amori appena nati, con gli amori già finiti, con la gioia e col dolore della gente come me. Oh mondo, soltanto adesso io ti guardo, nel tuo silenzio io mi perdo, e sono niente accanto a te.